Henry Winkler wasn't cast as the star of Happy Days, yet he became the heart of the show. But while the world celebrated Fonz as the ultimate symbol of cool, life behind the Happy Days set was nothing like the on-screen fantasy. Producers kept a tight rein on the show, enforcing rules the audience never saw. And when the show ended, those rules left scars that followed Winkler for decades. But above all of them, there was one rule that defined his time on Happy Days. A deeply disturbing rule he could never escape. The rise of the Fonz. The moment Fonzie appeared on screen, Henry Winkler went from just a face in the crowd to a symbol of cool recognized everywhere. The show launched him to a level of stardom few actors achieve. Yet, behind the applause and the spotlight, Winkler carried a secret. The set of Happy Days was far from carefree, and producers enforced several rules that completely altered the way the show was perceived by audiences. Henry Winkler grew up in New York City under the high expectations of parents who believed in discipline, achievement, and survival above all else. But life was far from easy. Because at that young age, Henry had dyslexia, a secret struggle he didn't understand at the time. It went undiagnosed throughout his childhood, leaving him to struggle with constant frustration in school. Reading was painfully difficult. His grades slipped, and his teachers dismissed him as lazy, with each failure chipping away at his confidence. However, while the classroom diminished his self-esteem, the stage lit him up. Acting was about expression, performance, and presence, things Henry naturally excelled at. Determined to prove himself, he pursued the craft seriously, earning a bachelor's degree from Emerson College in Boston, and then making the leap to the elite world of Yale Drama School. Yale wasn't an easy path, but Henry thrived. It was there that he trained as a serious stage actor, honing the kind of discipline and technique that would one day distinguish him in Hollywood. After graduating, Henry stayed with the Yale Repertory Theater for nearly 2 years, performing in demanding theater productions that gave him credibility as an emerging actor. But the theater world didn't pay much, and Henry knew that television and film offered greater opportunities. So he packed his bags, left New Haven behind, and began auditioning wherever he could. Like most aspiring actors, his first jobs weren't glamorous. He landed commercials, small TV roles, and even a guest spot on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Each job was a stepping stone, and his entry into film finally came with a small role in The Lords of Flatbush in 1974, where he played a Brooklyn gang member. That role gave him exactly the kind of tough guy Image Hollywood casting directors were beginning to look for, and it would soon put him on the path to the project that would change his life forever. Meanwhile, in Hollywood, producer Gary Marshall was developing a sitcom inspired by America's nostalgia for the 1950s. The show was called Happy Days, and at its core, it was meant to focus on Richie Cunningham, played by Ron Howard, and his wholesome all-American family. But Marshall wanted to add a spark, a character who could shake things up. The casting call described a tall, Italian tough guy, someone who looked like he'd just stepped off the streets of Brooklyn. Henry Winkler was neither tall nor Italian. In fact, he was a short Jewish actor from New York with a distinctly different vibe. However, when he walked into the audition room, everything changed. Henry knew he wasn't what they were looking for, so he decided to give them something unforgettable. Instead of delivering his lines the traditional way, he improvised. He leaned into silence, letting his coolness speak for itself. When he finally opened his mouth, he punctuated the scene with a simple sound, I. He stretched out the word in a moment that instantly felt iconic. And when they asked him to comb his hair, he refused, pushing back with the attitude that would later define Fonzie. That refusal became his signature. The producers were stunned. Against every description on the casting sheet, Henry Winkler was chosen. He officially became Arthur Fonzarelli, better known as Fonzie. Debuting in January 1974, when Happy Days first appeared on television screens, Fonzie was initially just a supporting character. He wasn't written as the heart of the show, just a wingman.